Hey guys, so I'm back with another process video, and this one is the second layout I made for the Rediscover Your Stash round 3 event. The first layout I made, I didn't film because it was the first layout I've made in 2 months, and I thought that it would be a very slow going process, so I decided not to film that, but you can see it on my Instagram feed as well as I'll have it in a layout share once this whole event finishes. So my original thought with this photo was to use this pink paper as a background because I really liked how it went with the photo. But then I was going through the 3x4, 4x4 cards that were cut apart from the 12x12 paper pad from the Better Together Amy Tangerine collection. I found these blue and green ones which match the picture as well because they brought the blue that I was in my shirt out, in my like sweater thing out. It's not a shirt, but anyway. So I decided to just bring out a white background and use the blue and green color scheme as opposed to that pink, and it was also really busy anyway. So I first thought that maybe I could use half of the pink and the green squares, and that doesn't look bad actually, but I don't know, I just wasn't feeling the pink in that moment. So yeah. And this layout does turn out to be quite simple for me. There's no mixed media on it. There's almost no embellishing. It's just things from the paper pad, except from 2 wood veneers and 2 enamel dots. So you'll see that as we go along. So then I was thinking maybe I can mat the picture on the layout on the pink paper because the pattern on that will be very good for a border. But then as I keep going, I just didn't really like the pink at all in this layout for some reason, and I'm just going to go with blue, green, and yellow, and some gray. So, I currently have, so my plan was to do a kind of grid layout and have one square block like piece with the photo, and then the other square piece would have like the journaling or the title or something. So that's how that started, and that is why I have my photo that has the blue in it that I'm wearing, and I backed it with a green 4x4 card, and then I used the same 4x4 card on to create a cluster next to it, and then I backed that with the blue to bring in the blue over there, and then I found this black and white pattern from the Amy Tangerine +1 6x6 paper pad, and I thought it looked really nice on there as well. So I am going to add that as a layer 2. And then that gray piece at the bottom there is also cut apart from the 6x6 pad by the +1, and that blue one, and also the yellow one that I've placed up there. And I'm going through the cards again because I want to do a kind of cluster on the bottom of the photo square, like I did on the other side. So I want to bring in some yellow over there, and I also want to bring in like some blue and some gray. So that is what I am trying to do at the moment. And looking back at it now, it might actually been nice to have a bit of pink in it or something somehow. I don't know. I do like how it turned out, but it's just really not something I normally do. Maybe that's why I'm kind of struggling with it. I don't know. I usually don't only use 2 colors. And I usually don't have such a plain background. There's either paint on it or some kind of pattern. So yeah. So now I'm going through these cut aparts from the 12x12 Better Together paper pad, and I don't know what the dimensions of those are, but they look they're more like a die cut size as opposed to a pocket size. And I really like that Lovingly piece because it was yellow, but I'm not going to end up using it. So I did choose that Remember This thing to put under under the photo because of the fact that it's blue, and I just liked the blue there. So now I'm trying to incorporate some yellow onto the photo cluster. So then I pulled out that chipboard set, but there wasn't anything appealing to me, and I'm going through those die cuts again, and I'm trying to find something to layer with the Remember This piece. So preferably something yellow, but I was struggling to find something yellow. So yeah, I originally put that love piece there, And I'm also trying to incorporate some gray on that side of the page. But it's just getting too clustery because I keep pulling these smaller die cuts and I just don't like it. So then I finally find that piece there. It says Happy Together that has a light blue. But it also has a yellow, but it's just like the perfect amount of yellow to balance the other cutter part on the side there, but not as much as the cutter part as to distract from it. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah. And then I'm going through the stitched, actually. I'm going through the stitched die cuts and cutter parts from Amy Tangerine. And I'm just trying to see if there's anything that I can use from there. And I did pull a couple of things, but I don't end up using any of them. And then here's where I pull in the wood veneer, which are from the random ephemera pack that I had written down as something I wanted to use. So on here, I'm currently using the wood veneer, and also the stuff I pulled from the +1 paper pad is also something I want to use. So that's good. I mean, I'm not using as much as I would like, but I did allow myself for these first couple of layouts that I'm making to use whatever inspires me the most and just give myself the freedom to do that, because I haven't scrapbooked in a while and I thought that would help my creative process. And also, if I'm using something I love, it's more easy for me to kind of like force myself. I wouldn't say force myself, but it's more easy for me to incorporate some older things as well, as opposed to doing a layout with just older things, but I know I have all this gorgeous new stuff that I want to use. So yeah, I try to mix both of them, and in these first layouts, the analogy, I don't know if that's how you say it in English, but the amount of new things is much more than the amount of old things. And the more pages I make, the more those quantities will change. So by the end of this event, at least that's what I'd like to think, is that the old things, the new things that I'm using will be less than the old things that I'm using. So yeah. So here I decided that the layout needed something, I needed a mat, something to kind of ground it because it was too plain. So I decided to pull this paper from the Better Together Amy Tangerine thing, and I haven't glued anything down at the moment. I haven't glued anything to the actual layout. I think the clusters are glued to themselves at this point, but or at least the photo clusters are glued to themselves, but nothing else. Because I was procrastinating doing that because I wasn't sure if I wanted to add any paint, any mixed media to the background. But the reason I decided not to is because I was kind of afraid I didn't have the colors to match the colors that I'm using, because they're a bit weird. I love them, but they're not like the typical color scheme. They're kind of like a watercolory green. But anyway, I don't really have anything that would match those. And also, I kind of liked the simplicity of it at the time, like the structured look, which is something I don't normally do. If you follow my channel, I do like using paint and mixed media a lot, and stark white backgrounds just aren't really my thing. But once in a while, I do something like this, which is different than what I normally do. And sometimes I love it, sometimes it's okay, and sometimes I don't love it. So in this instance, I do think it's more towards the love it spectrum than the hate it, but I mean, it's not like amazing, I would say. Maybe it's because I haven't used a lot of embellishments, and yeah. But I do really love the photo, so that kind of remedies that fact. So anyway, so here, in order to pull in more gray, I decided to use those enamel dots from like these enamel triangle dot things. I think they're from the Alison Kreft #happy collection. They might be from Dream in Color, but I don't think they're from that sheet. So then I'm adding just a little blurb of journaling, and that is going to complete the page, or at least I thought it would complete the page. Okay, so I thought I had finished the layout, and then I was looking at it Well, I was doing homework and I was like glancing over at the layout and I just felt like something was missing. So I decided to do some kind of doodling and outlining and stuff. So these are my new favorite pens. I've had them for a while, but these are the Staedtler Pigment Liner pens and I have 4 different tips. There's a gazillion different tips, but I have only collected these so far. So I use the 1.0 tip to do a kind of doodly zigzag border around where the white meets the pattern paper that mats the whole layout. And I think that just grounds it a bit more and gives it a bit more interest. And then I thought to bring in that black element a bit more to other aspects, I used the 0.3 tip pen. I would have used like a 0.5 if I had one ideally, but this is the only one I had. And I kind of did some double out tracing and I just outlined all the clusters that I have here. And some places there was some glue that seeped out from behind, like here, so it's a bit messy, but it's okay. I like how it looks. So thank you guys so much for watching. I am loving making some of these layouts and finally using some things up. I'm still kind of in the process of getting back into scrapbooking, so I'm going to allow myself to make a couple of layouts using whatever I want, whether it's brand new or really old. If it inspires me, I'll use it. And then after first couple few 2-3 layouts, I'll probably kind of focus more on using other stuff. But because I haven't scrapbooked in so long, I decided to just allow myself to use whatever I want for a couple of layouts. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this process. If you don't want to miss my progress on using some things up during the month of January for Rediscover Your Stash and possibly in February for Finish It February, that happens in the Scrap Gals community. Hit subscribe. If you have any comments, anything you want to share, anything you want to tell me, just anything, leave me a comment below. I always love reading your comments and I respond to everyone. Sometimes it takes me a bit of time to respond, but I always get around to it eventually. So thank you so much for watching and I will see you next time.